and welcome to this week's episode of The Adventures of the Windswift. We are all accounted for and present. Real life has been banished to that realm that just pays for our existence, and we are ready to play a game or two. So, Dice of Destiny, Digital Dice of Destiny is rolled, and that's number 2, and that is supposed to be me, but I'm going to say that it's Jonathan instead.
Neat.
What happened last week?
Yeah, what happened last week?
Last week?
You tell me.
Con has no idea. Last week...
Yeah, that's true, actually.
I found Adressai slumped over her book, one of those books. And
we
tried everything to revive her. She seemed to be dead, and we were just about to abandon all hope. When the last reserves of my magic, I don't know, or maybe it was just luck, or the universe decided it, but she came back to us.
Yep, that's pretty much what Con experienced. There was one little tail end.
However, inside the book, there's a completely different story. They were met with 3 strange characters whose goals and motivations were unclear as they tried to fathom the purpose of the book. Adressai found themselves confronted with mystery and puzzle and enigma, whilst they managed, however, to resist the worst of the distractions. And they managed to even decipher some of the nonsense spewing forth from the 3 quirky characters that inhabited the book. And of course there was the other inhabitant of the book, a dragon. And we hope that Adressai has emerged from the book carrying with them a answer to the riddle.
An answer to some riddles, I think. Just maybe not the right ones.
So many answers.
Yes, it was a crazy time. So, pulling ourselves back, yes, Adressai, you have woken up in the infirmary, and Lily has just leant against the doorway and pronounced that Vis says that he has found section 13. And that's where we ended off last week. So, picking it up at Trementum, I believe you were in Captain Ty's quarters, yes? That's correct. So that's where you are, Saket. You were in the kitchens with Hurricane apparently cooking up a storm. And Jorek and...
You went to get cheese to sort of lure me back with again.
Yeah.
This woke them up last time.
Jorek and Con, you are with Adressai in the medical bay. What are you doing?
Adressai is writing furiously, like trying to take down everything they learned in there before it disappears.
Right, like a dream, a horrid dream, yes.
I'm going to turn to Lily and ask, well, where is it then?
I'm afraid that all that he said to me was there's a cave.
A cave?
How very specific.
Well, he mentioned Pugglesnuff, and then he said a cave.
Ha! You know, I had my suspicions that it was there.
What cave are we talking about? Have you been to Pugglesnuff?
No, but we've had, like, there's been whispers.
The name has come up before, hasn't it?
Yeah, Pugglesnuff has shown up, but... Oh, you're talking about Pugglesnuff, not the cave. All right.
Yes, no, I haven't been to a cave near Pugglesnuff, no.
Fine, I got confused.
Right. He did seem to be in a rather difficult situation, though, so I only picked it up because it was sent with a fair amount of anguish, which for this is unusual.
Anguish?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure why. It seemed to be And it also seemed to be quite thin, as if it was an echo of a thought, not the actual thought.
He must be tortured then.
I don't know.
Doesn't sound good.
I honestly don't know.
Whatever it is.
Adresai, how do we get to Pogglesnuff
Yes.
easiest?
Well,
You're the navigator.
No, wait. Yes, they are, but that is more important. Keep writing. I'll go look at the map. I know how to
no,
write.
I mean, there's nothing near Pogglesnuff. And I'm like talking while writing. The closest city is Pisspon, which is way, way south of there. The only thing that's close to Pogglesnuff is Pogglesnuff. I mean, that's the problem. I don't even know if it has a teleportation circle in there. But I mean, it has a forest near it.
Yes, we're going through it again, but we could need to have the men around. The crew, but...
there is a giant forest to the north of Pugglesnuff.
There is. And there is an anchor just north of here, so we might well find some druids there.
Con and Jorek, you both notice that Adresai, whilst furiously writing, the tail seems particularly mangy. And the hand that Adresai is writing with has that same lack of hair, these very bald patches, very obviously bald patches, which were not there before.
Adresai?
What? Really busy right now.
Yes, but your hand.
What about it? Ah!
Look, thank you.
That's new. No, wait, it makes sense, actually. It's fine.
Well,
What?
It's fine. I'll explain later. It turned into paper.
Cutting back to you, Atrementum, Captain I walks into the cabin and she looks at you and very seductively undoes her tight bun and lets her locks in a way that she thinks looks seductive, but which perhaps is endearing, but it does look like she is an artificial life form having a fit as she sort of mechanically nods her head from
Is it
side
like
to side.
Schwarzenegger trying to smile? Yes.
Yeah, she's trying to be all seductive and stuff, and she then moves over to you and she says, "I've been reading the manuals of the old order. I know that there's a new order now, but I have been reading the old manuals, and it does not prohibit captains of the order from having a permanent guest aboard their ship. And and she delicately touches the silver and ruby necklace that you brought her. Things seem to be progressing. I was wondering if you would stay on the ship for a little while anyway, whilst we see where this is going."
Kind of taking a look around, say, well, the captain quarters are a lot bigger and more private than the crew's quarters.
Yes, there is that fact. And it's closer to the upper deck, so you can get out and stretch more easily. It's closer to the galley as well, so warmer breakfast than the crew quarters. So there are many advantages to staying on the Windswift, don't you think?
Perhaps. But tell me, why are you even so beholden to the, as you say, old rules?
She sits down on the bed looking a little bit perturbed. The Commodores, I think, have their hearts in the right place, and I thoroughly support them and believe them in terms of what they're trying to do.
And by the way,
And so I will follow them wherever they might choose to go, because I think they are really trying to save the world. But they are busy trying to save the world, so they haven't had much time to rewrite a lot of the administration documents that would go with their new order. So I thought, well, possibly the old books that detailed the general operations of a ship might still be applicable, considering that those weren't, I don't think anyway, influenced by the evil minions of dragons. I can't see that a dragon would really care about the day-to-day operations of a ship. So Section 5 of Ordinance 7, which was written nearly 300 years ago, makes it to be one of the oldest ones. And I feel that I could quite rightly claim that Clause 4, although it does specifically state that the captains are not allowed to get married, could be seen as not prohibiting captains from having a permanent partner. And then if you go down to the fifth...
What you were talking about? I'm sorry.
Oh, well, nothing really important, very much.
Okay. I'm hungry. I'm going to get breakfast. You want something too?
As a matter of fact, I have been smelling something quite nice in the kitchen now that Saket's back. So, yes, actually, that's like a bit of a plan. So, as she sort of gets up and starts doing her hair back up into the tight bun, she looks back at you. So, do you think I've got a case? Do you think Ordinance 4 is the way to go? I think it's the way to go. Well,
Yeah, whatever.
Yes, I thought so too.
Yeah, he didn't really listen to when she started.
Exactly right.
It's like, la, 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 la.
This is, yeah. Saket, the crew are always delighted to see you. You have been entreated to the tales of various crew members as to the antics of the ship during the trials and tribulations of the Commodores being away. But other than that, yes, life seems to be almost back to normal, with you and Hurricane cooking up a storm.
Oh, yes, I see a case for baked camembert in between some puff pastry sheets and maybe some bacon kind of rolled into those puff pastry sheets for dipping into the said baked.
I haven't had breakfast yet. No.
And I make everyone hungry.
So, Guy, how do you feel about PvP?
My bacon!
So yeah, there's definitely a good waft of cheese and bacon, lots of butter coming out of
is happening, basically.
Yes.
Yeah. Con, Jorek, Adresai, you're busy writing down all of the notes that you can possibly remember.
Yes. How can I get down a bit of that, that paper with the dragon anatomy that I saw quite briefly?
Oh,
Is
you're
there
trying to
any
sort
of
of
that that I
scribble that down. Sure, give me an intelligence check.
Yeah, I can do that, man. That's a 22.
It was very brief, but yes, you think you can, and it does look as if there is some parts of the dragon's anatomy which don't seem to make sense. You remember pipes that seem to lead back upon themselves, but they had a strange sort of fleshy piece in the middle. You're not an anatomist, so you couldn't imagine what that might be, just that it definitely was there. It sort of had striation.
It had been
on it.
deliberately constructed for a certain purpose, possibly.
Not necessarily deliberately constructed. It all looked organic, but in terms of it looked like there was the esophagus and down into the stomachs, and it looked like there were more than one stomach. But then they looked like there was a pipe that sort of intervened halfway and went directly to the stomach. But there was a sort of a striated bag chamber that it went into first and then into the stomach. So that's what I'm saying, is that there's bits to it that you go, well, I don't You've seen entrails many, many, many times. You don't recall seeing an additional pipe that would lead directly to the stomach either.
Might have to do with the breath, dragon breath thing. But
Right.
possibly.
You're not entirely sure.
Yes. I'm going to sort of finish that with notes and then just sort of hand it to Con without looking. And then I sort of go back to writing.
So, Jenny, what you're saying is that it's not dragon breath, it's dragon bath.
Pretty much.
Basically. Con, you give me a nature check, if you please.
Okay. Uh, 18.
You look at the diagram that's been drawn, and there are a few things that are the wrong scale, and they're not the right sort of measurements necessarily, or at least they don't seem to make much sense. And then there is that bizarre tube thing that has been drawn. You've seen it once before, as a matter of fact, but not at the size that it has been illustrated here. And what you recall, you have seen this in the prison of Naxa, in the engine room where the gnomes were decimated. You remember seeing a similar strange tube-like structure at the back of the throat of one of the engineers that was skewered.
Well, curious. Very curious. There were similar structures on those transforming gnomes at Naxa.
Yes, that I haven't. The bastard went and died before he could answer me, but on that particular thing. But so it turns out the dragons were, you know, the Chakmontil race once, and then they found the books and decided to use them to kill the creator and make their own universe the way they wanted it, because that's quite possible. Except, you know, I think we got the books instead. I'm not quite sure. Look, I'm not quite sure what happened in the history there, but, you know, they transformed themselves into that because they wanted to kill God, basically.
They created a new universe? Or
No, I think they possibly, yes. It's quite possible that the one we're in now is created in there to their wishes, but I think it's more likely that they were working on that, but they never quite got that far. I mean, I met one of them who was trapped in the book, and it turns out that all the knowledge in the book that I was so excited about is nothing more than a smoke screen, like a maze, a hedge maze full of vampiric, I don't know, things that are meant to drain you before you get to the actual heart of things.
but if the dragons created the universe in their image, how did we defeat them if they had the books?
Well, because we got them from them, possibly. Look, I'm not quite sure. It was all very confusing in there. Most of what I learned in there was not about the dragons, because I was sort of focused on different things at the time, like, you know, surviving and getting out and you know, I met someone like 9, except he was the first who ever read a book. But there weren't books then, apparently. I think he was just the first who got to the rules.
Rules?
The rules of the universe. You know how there are different books for different things, you know, gods, planes. Turns out they're not about the gods as much as they dictate the gods.
Oh, good.
So I met someone in there who was older and less powerful than gods at the same time. He was very charming, but kind of hot, but, you know, not. Also possibly the one who created actual life as we know it, because he was bored. Look, it was a very, very
Jorek
honest.
has this what face.
Look, honestly, most of it probably doesn't matter to the situation at hand.
I don't think so either, but I think we should hold on to these books, but not in your quarters.
No, I don't think so either. I think we should probably keep them apart. Can we put one of them in that lead-lined room? Is it full of lichen now?
No,
I
I
think
think that's in
it's,
the...
it's useful at this juncture to have a command meeting. I yank the cork out of the tube and would the command staff convene in the map room at your earliest convenience?
Bring
Thank
Atra
you.
as well. We're going to need him.
All right. Well, you lot head to the command room, I'm assuming.
Mm-hmm.
With my
Jorek,
bread.
did you extend that invitation to Atra?
I did.
Oh.
Yes, and I told Con to call for Atra as well.
Con did not. Do you amend it?
You didn't. All right. Fine. As soon as Con walks off, I'm gonna Atra, get to the command room.
Atra's like, as far as I know, he's like not present in the room.
No, he's not. I'm using the cork.
Oh,
Not the cork, but the tube.
he is otherwise engaged.
Hey, I'm eating breakfast. What are you talking about?
You, assuming that you all go to the command room,
Yes.
you all convene. Just before you start, Captain Ty knocks politely.
Good morning.
Good morning,
Hi. I'm
commanders.
alive.
What course should we set?
We're
North?
going to determine that shortly, hopefully.
Look, we should probably start heading north in the meantime. Either way, that's where we're going, whether we're heading to the Anchor or to Pogglesnuff.
That sounds great, but I have just one little query. Merfolk?
That would be my question too, Commander.
Well,
Let them come.
Well, no. I called the ambassador.
You were
last
supposed to
night.
speak to him today, right?
Yeah. He said he'd show up today.
Okay,
and
so
have a
before we
chat.
go anywhere, let's just sort out the Merfolk disruption, so they're not a disruption. And then we'll head north towards, where did you say?
Pugglesnuff.
Pugglesnuff. Why
Where is
the
Pugglesnuff?
frack are we going to
We
Pugglesnuff?
can't sail to Pugglesnuff unless you want us to go all the way around the Orc territories. There is the...
Yes.
On the other side of the...
I mean, we'd get to the Baron's Reach, which is where you know that guy is.
Kufet?
Yes, that guy.
We can't go up one of the rivers in the Orcs territories to get to Pugglesnuff?
None that I know of.
I don't think there's a river that goes into Tyrannic Bay.
Yeah, me too. I'm looking at it.
But I mean, if we could smash Kufet on the way, that would be nice.
Well,
I
we
mean,
can
he
always
wants us to
go
meet him at
ahead.
the Baron's Reach.
We are always able to go ahead of the ship. We can tell the ship to head for as near as they can get.
It's going to take a long time to get around to Telantari Bay, though.
Well, they don't have to go to Teleportation Bay. I mean, as I say, that's impractical.
Yeah.
But they can get as close to a few more off the Goblin lands. It's close enough for us.
Understood. She closes the door.
Oh, and would you mind asking your
Lover?
consort if you wouldn't mind popping in?
She nods. Atra, have you already gone in? I thought you'd already gone in, or are you're not? She finds you having breakfast still? The Commodores would like you to attend their meeting, Atra.
Already getting a scolding? All right.
No, I don't think so. They didn't seem to be too disapproving, and I didn't have to talk about Ordinance 4 just yet. So perhaps it's a good sign. You never know. They are decent folk. Well, I suppose you would know. You've spent some time with them, but it's a good sign. If they want you to be part of whatever it is they're going to be discussing, well, it means they obviously value your opinion, and that's important.
I'm not so sure. Kind of standing up. Well, thank you.
She sort of gives you an awkward nod because she can't do anything more than that because Hurricane is sitting there grinning like a Cheshire cat. And she sort of steps aside. You make your way to the command room. All right. Right, the 5 of you are assembled. Oh, there's knocking at the door.
I open.
Eh?
Hi.
Morning.
Hmm.
So you got breakfast. Would you mind? We could use your input.
Sure.
I brought the star bread with me. You're welcome to some.
I already ate all the bacon that was available.
I was going to eat as much as they can fit into their face. Sort of while writing.
Like a hamster with the pouch.
Yes. And I think they're sort of trying to keep their. Is it the left hand that's sort of messed up, or is it the right hand?
Right hand it was.
Right hand. I think they've sort of pushed the sleeve up over the hand as much as possible.
Yeah, well, it's funny you should say that because I'd be trying to pay a surreptitious amount of attention to her hand and tail whenever I can see them to try and establish if it's just a wound that will heal, or if there's some sort of malady, what's her skin look like and so on.
I was about to say you're not a vet, but you're the closest thing to a vet in this entire setting, being a druid and a doctor. So
I have books in my study about various peoples of Braxia.
yes.
I am conversant with the various maladies that can afflict a Cathar.
The Cathar, yeah. This looks well. It initially you thought it was mange, which is obviously just a fungal infection and can be treated. And actually, now that you look at it, it just looks as if the hair is just not there. The skin doesn't look to be agitated. It doesn't look to be in any shape or form damaged. It just is hairless.
Okay.
Or like age, possibly.
Yeah, or as if it just was
Like the
never
hair
there.
just fell out.
Again, not as if it fell out. It literally looks as if it just ceased to exist.
And other than that, it looks like normal Cathar flesh.
Yes.
Curious.
All eyes turned to you. You called the meeting.
Did I? Oh, I did. Puggle snuff, apparently. Apparently, we have intelligence from this via Lily that access to Sector 13 may be found near Puggle snuff.
Mm. They did tell us earlier about an unusual amount of gnomes in that area, which is why I was suspicious of it.
So we go to Buggle Snuff.
Also, it was where, Kufet was hanging out, Telantari Bay. So, I mean...
So we could sort of kill 2 birds with 1 stone, as it were. We could head.
I was hoping, we could burn 2 enemy strongholds with 1 spell.
We can try.
So, I guess this didn't get us any information on, men, guards.
Seemed distressed, as far as what Lily said.
Do you think
Distressed?
you could contact him and see if you can get anything more out of him?
Sure, I can do that.
because that would be useful. I don't like going in blind.
Yes.
Momentum, we seem to have a serious lead on our particular quest. The four of us are pretty much bound on it.
Yes, and we're not going to chase after any dragons. We're going to get rid of their servants.
Well, it's funny you should say that. I was going to follow that up with, I can't say where it will lead.
Well,
I'm going to say Sector 13 is probably the most likely place to have a dragon at this point.
Quite possibly.
But then
It
again, we
could
know they're
escalate
killable.
epically, unexpectedly, and it is probably wise that we air that before we continue much further.
But I haven't got another flying ship to fly into the dragon.
No,
No,
that's...
sadly.
Okafet still has his. I mean, maybe we could keep that in mind.
Okay,
let's
so we'll
not
just
destroy any more
hijack that
cities,
and use it to kill any dragons that we find. And yeah, this is working out great, guys.
There is a certain poetry in using their own engines against them. I don't know why your current personal objectives carry you, but this is a big fight. We could always use someone like you. So this is our point where we're going this way, and I just wanted to let you know that's where we stand. I presume I can speak for everyone.
Yes, as much as there are many other things we need to deal with, this is kind of...
Well, there's the Merfolk as well. We
The
clearly
Merfolk
need...
will hopefully be dealt with this afternoon, right?
I mean,
On
if
the
this-
other hand, one way to look at it is if we deal with any overall threats from dragons, it means that the whole rest of the world of Braxia is in our debt, and therefore, when it comes to negotiating Atra's daughter's release...
Do you really think that anybody gives a damn once the problem is solved? Who did it?
Oh,
I'm
That's a
kind of
point.
hoping they might care.
probably not that kind of people. However, I was thinking, I have a book on divination magic, and I'm going to look it up, but there are spells to find people specifically. Especially
Well,
if
that's
you
what
have...
you said to me, and I assumed that is why you called me.
Yes, well, I mean, if you want to stay on the ship and not get involved with dragons, I understand that. But, I mean, Pogosnuff is, and Sector 13 is probably a place where you can find rather a lot of spells. And I might be able to find what I'm looking for in order to help you find your daughter there. So if you just tag along a little longer, I'd be happy to help you locate her as quickly as possible.
I'm a little bit confused. You said you had ways to find people that might not be in my purview.
Yes, but...
Well, yes,
the
but
spell
not
to do
right
it.
now. I kind of need the tools.
Which
We're
are?
going to get them in Sector 13, aren't we, Adrazai?
Yes, I mean, definitely, if it's a whole
What
magical...
are these tools you need?
A spell, divination spell. It's a specific locator which lets you basically spy on specific people. And if I can see where she is and if she's all right and what her surroundings are like and what other people are there, then maybe I can track those people and I can see where they go and then I can see where they are and who they talk to. I just, like, I'm not a diviner. I just need to find the spells necessary.
What is Sector 13?
From what we can gather, they used to be basically they built the flying ship engines and they kept track of them. But from what we can gather, they are also the secret order of the dragons or whatever.
Why would they have this specific place, this specific spell, instead of another place?
Because they're a massive, ancient, magical research facility. And I mean, sure, that spell might be in other places, but I mean, honestly, I really want to help you out, but this is where we're going next.
If we
And I
can
mean, if you
ransack
have a
their
way for me
library,
to
that would be good.
quickly pop into Rhythmware and back, I could grab the spell there, I'm sure.
Kind of taking a look at Con. Well, we traveled half over the world without much problem earlier to help him.
Yes, no, I mean, you're right.
Are
Look,
there
I've been looking at teleportation circles as well.
Oh, those are fun.
You
Guy.
want to go shopping, Adrusai?
I mean, Guy, when it says when you take the teleportation circle spell, you start out with 2 locations for it.
Okay.
What would those locations be likely? What would I decide be likely to know?
In terms of yourself, it would probably be the Windswift as one.
Do we have a teleportation, like the location of other permanent circles?
Oh, other permanent circles.
Yes.
Doesn't have one yet.
Yeah, yet.
Yeah. Well, depending on where you buy it, it's probably the one at that venue. The one that you probably know, there is definitely one in Runthambor in the Cathar Sodality that you know of.
Yes.
Howdenlee, but that doesn't exist anymore. Then another one that I'm trying to think of where you've been. The Sagetti, you've definitely got some. So yeah, it really would depend on where you get the spell from as to.
Yeah.
I mean, from the story how it went, the most likely candidate from where she originally got it from is from the library, right?
Yeah.
And she took time to read it and kind of comprehend it and learn it.
Oh, you got it at Wraithwin.
No, she gets spells as she levels up.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
But that's supposed to be like research, right? So
Yeah,
depending on how you kind of say this research happens,
Yeah.
is how you would answer that question.
Yeah, like I just spent quite a few hours in that library. I think it's like that one of the tomes they went through was one for Rhythmware.
Gotcha. Yeah, so it would definitely be Wraithwin, and then it would probably be
Runthambor makes sense.
Runthambor, yeah. I'm
Yeah,
just looking at
because-
other human cities that you went to, and none of them would have it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
None of them are big enough. I mean, Valenhold probably did, but I don't like we weren't in a position to find out, and it's probably not there anymore. So
Yes, there's that
it's like
matter.
yes, I can get to Rhythmware, could find the spell there, and then if we could get from Rhythmware to near Pugglesnuff, there could be a fairly quick aside. I mean, if we get druids to meet us by Rhythmware instead, but then again, we are exceptionally wanted by the Elven Kingdom and might get murdered instantly.
Yeah, that's the problem with the Elven Kingdom.
I don't have a problem with the elves.
No, you don't have a problem.
Problem with
And we
us,
could
then.
probably disguise ourselves in various ways.
Can you tell me what you'll need? And can you send me there?
Possibly,
Oh, that's a possibility.
Guy.
What?
I mean,
mean,
could
that's
I
how-
do that? I guess I
take
could
it-
like ask him to steal a book, but like
I mean,
it's probably more efficient if I go.
Stealing a book from the Library of Wraithwin is probably going to be difficult since it
Yes,
is the
it's
hub of
probably easier if I
magic.
just go myself.
I mean,
you could just ask him to go and see if he can buy it from your friend.
that is where my mind was as well. It's like I could
sorry,
send
that
him to
was.
murder the head librarian and steal the book.
Well, I mean,
Oh.
with your track record, can you really going there?
I mean, we were going to talk to the commander last time.
I
Yeah.
could talk to your friend.
Yes.
Well, we talked to him, did we?
Yes, we did.
I don't see why we can't facilitate Atra's transfer to Rhythmware and back.
Well, back might be a little difficult.
Oh, it's one way only?
I mean, I can teleport to a circle.
All right.
And I mean, I could make one on the Windswift, but that's going to take a long, long time. That
I
we
can
don't
just push
currently.
them through a tree.
Yes, I mean,
Yeah, you can't need to be present at that. Druids are not too keen on.
yeah.
It's not a taxi service.
They're going to have to get used to a few new realities in this coming world.
Oh, I see. I see. Kin now too, eh? All right. All right.
Lord Commodore leader.
Sometimes we need to send people through and back without a druid.
You know, out of all of us, the one that was like at the most risk of becoming tempted of the godly power of the books, Con was not the first person I had in mind.
No.
I'm not tempted by the godly power of the books. I
Doesn't need
You
the
just want to rewrite reality manually.
yeah, the old-fashioned way.
Nice way.
No.
Now we're talking.
Whilst we're on the subject of those books, I find them all very alarming, and the prospect of anyone bringing all of them together for whatever reason seems to be a very bad idea.
Yes. No, that is.
I kind
not
of feel like once we've dealt with the dragon threat, we need to institute some sort of long-reaching order, facility, whatever, with the express purpose of preventing the books from ever being brought together.
Yes, you
I have
should
a
hunt
feeling.
down those that are talking about the books, find the books,
Delete all
and
knowledge
have
of
a
the
sanctuary to keep the books safe. 3 different divisions of the order.
And thus
It
the
just
cycle
sounds
repeats.
like the factions with different steps.
Well, I mean, look, we know that the books can be,
Well-
physical forms can be destroyed.
And
I'm
they
not sure.
probably kept separate for a reason too, which is why they haven't been all in the same spot when we went and found them.
I think at the very least we need to start restricting who knows about them and who knows what we
Yes.
have and what we have not. And
We may need to destroy them all. It hurts me to say it, but that might be necessary at some point. But
is that
for
something
now,
that can be
they
done
might also
safely?
be necessary for succeeding in this.
All right, so
Okay.
the plan right now. Rhythmweir, get spell. Puggle snuff. Kick ass and chew bubblegum at Puggle snuff.
What?
No.
Bubblegum?
Bubblegum you speak of.
Yes.
Rhythmweir,
Caoutchouc.
get the
You mean
spell.
caoutchouc.
Puggle snuff. Destroy sector 13. Find out what they want. And then we go look for a lost tiefling daughter.
Sounds
If we're
good to
still
me.
alive.
Don't say things like that.
From what I know of the Cabals, she is most guaranteed to be alive.
No, not her. We, us.
Oh, we, us. Yeah, right. We've survived this far. Come on, what can go wrong?
Most of
Okay,
us.
so if
Did
we're going
we-
to
did we,
Sector
Tobias?
13, who are our allies at this stage? Can we count on the druids to help us? I mean, this is a big.
Last I heard, they were going to start a war against the
As long
Drakenmoore.
as the druids can be convinced that what's happening is in their interests, largely yes.
Yes, well, someone, as you said, riled them up against Drakenmoore, so they might be, aimed in a different direction right now.
There's a lot of druids.
Yes.
One druid makes up for a lot.
Well, I think you say you cannot easily get me back on board the ship.
No, if we do it my way, it's easy. We don't need to get you back on board the ship.
You just go to near Puggle Snuff.
Puggle Snuff is not going anywhere. We could
And that
afford
will work?
to
Should. Yes.
The only risk is really...
Because otherwise I would say we should probably speak to these mer people. Because
Well, we can speak to mer people whilst you go find what you need to find.
all right,
Kill 2 birds with 1 stone, and once you're back, we all...
my speciality.
Give me book. No. I take it.
Thank you.
I think we have sufficient...
Thank you for all your cooperation.
I think we have sufficient funds in the treasury to do this
yes.
the peaceful way.
Speaking of which, well, I will get ready for departure then.
Would
Pack
there
my
be-
things, so to say.
Would there be circles at the anchors? Teleportation
No.
circle? No. Damn.
Or is there anything else you need me for?
No, I think that's everything for
Speak
now.
to the
Adresa, do
local-
you have any idea what that spell would cost? Are we talking 50, 500, 5,000?
What spell is it that you look for?
It's... Oh, God. What was this name?
Is it just scry?
Yeah, I think it's scrying.
5th grade.
Yeah.
5th grade, probably about 5,000 gold.
Yes, probably around 5,000 gold.
5,000 gold. I don't even
Sorry.
think we have that much, but well, I'll go check the treasury. It depends on if the Windswift managed to deliver the cargo before they got attacked in Brenyai.
I mean, they ought to, because they were attacked once they were in
Correct.
harbor for a few days, as they said, right? So
Right. Correct. So yes, they did manage to sell it.
Okay, good.
So then I will kind of bow a little bit and kind of turn around, leave the admirals, commodores to argue among themselves. I would go to.
I will actually go with Adresaya, what's that? Atramentum.
I would go to Tai, because I want to ask her if she managed to sell the goods that I got on board.
Yes, she did, as a matter of fact.
Great. Then she should have 40% of
Cities were
what-
dead.
That's my gold.
Yes.
Jorek comes with a small chest full of gold to Atra and
Yeah,
for the spell.
here you go. It's all in copper, I'm afraid.
Wow.
Hi-ho. Okay, so I don't know, like I have some money on my own, but I don't know how much you want to give me, and I don't know how much I get for the 40% of the high value goods that I got from my good friend that I met in, is it Howden? What was the city before we went to?
Gyron Ghent.
No, not Gyron again. The city before we went for, yeah, Hogan Castle, exactly.
Yes, I think you were going to get 20% on your return of your investment.
Yeah.
So you get that straight
But
up.
that's them, but me.
Oh, personally, in terms of your...
If you remember, I was at the office from one of the spy master kind of ish people, and I asked him for help for Valenhold, and I also offered him some space on board of the...
That's right, yes. Yes. I thought
and
that
he was... And you never... Like, you gave me
I
something.
didn't give you the figure. Sorry.
Yes.
I thought you already had
It just was like, yeah, this is the only way you can move goods about. I want like a kingly ransom for it.
Yes.
So yeah, what's that?
All
I assume it's not.
Yeah. Well, it is a fairly decent sum. It is 1,300 gold.
All right. So that's me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, look, either way, we're going to need Con to get to near Pugglesnuff, right?
Yes.
Which means that we kind of need to...
You're there.
What?
Yeah, Jorek is with you, Adra.
All right.
So, Adra, you are talking to Con.
I do return after
Yes.
delivering the gold, but
So how much gold did you give me then?
5,000.
You gave me 5,000? Okay, cool. I'm gonna go shopping then.
Yes.
You were saying?
Look, because I'm not sure on the idea of splitting up right now, because, I mean, you're going to have to come with us to Where if you want to get back from there.
My intent, perhaps. But it is my intention to have a chat. And we'll see how that turns out.
With who? Where?
Whoever's facilitating the transfer.
Right, we don't know yet. So is it safe to say that we should probably just head north to the anchor and have a chat to the Druids? It's right nearby.
Why do we want to go
So, what
to
do
the
they
anchor
mean?
specifically?
I don't know, because it's nearby and it has Druids,
Does it?
doesn't it?
I thought the druid was just in a circle in the trees, woods somewhere.
Oh, maybe that's just me being weird. Yeah, no, sorry. That was
Where is the druid?
misassociating things there.
But yeah, so...
No, right. Where's the nearest Druid circle then?
Have you had any kind of response from the Merfolk. I believe you contacted them, didn't
Yes,
you?
he said he'll come talk to us today, sometime during the day.
Good, so we should stick around for that.
And then go talk to some druids.
And then go talk to some druids about getting you want to go too?
I can get to Rhythmweir. I can teleport there. I just need to, get back.
Well, if we go talk to the druids, you can go both ways via the druids.
I suppose.
And then you preserve your useful powers.
Sure. I mean...
Surely it won't take you more than a day to go and purchase what you need. Well, hang on. Why are you going wanted? I thought.
Well, I'm the one who knows. I mean, I guess I don't have to. I just really want to.
Ah, okay. Well, oh God, do be careful. If you're recognized, God knows what will happen.
Well, I can fix that.
I suppose.
I can go as, Billy, the human.
You can go as my human slave. Let's see what happens.
No.
That worked well last time, right?
It worked
Yes.
real well last time.
As long as you don't sell me to the head librarian.
I think slaves and selling is a very, very bad idea. Sorry.
Yes, I think maybe we should steer away from
I
that
think
whole
we should
concept.
avoid. Yes. Well, it has its uses, I suppose, when infiltration, but yeah, it's not really our thing.
No, I mean, technically I don't need it. I could just send a message ahead to my friend, if he's not too drunk, and ask him to find it for you. And you shouldn't have to be in there for more than an hour.
And your friend, you feel, can be trusted, given that the elves blame us for destroying one of their cities?
No, I think he's good.
Okay.
I trust him. You don't get that drunk with someone and not trust them after.
It's true. All right, so you are going to teleport Atra to Wraithwanweir. You're going to communicate with the librarian to have the spell ready for Atra's imminent arrival. Is that correct?
Yeah,
Correct.
but we kind of need to talk to the druids first, so we need that we can get Atra back again.
Right.
And also, presumably, the Merfolk are showing up today at some
Yes,
point.
the Merfolk have indeed actually shown up. There is a polite knocking on the door, and Captain Ty informs you that the ambassador has returned.
Oh, good.
I pull out the
Go
cork.
do your thing.
Command staff to the main deck, please.
Commodore, you'll find that most of the command staff ready on the main deck. We have both ballistas ready and waiting. You need only give the word.
Hopefully it won't be necessary.
Thanks,
I'm
Keith.
sure.
I just like to say it.
You go up onto deck, and this bubbling, watery fountain is there, hovering the ambassador just above the level of the deck. He bows courteously as he sees the two of you.
Bow back.
Three of you, four of you.
You may board, I say.
Thank you for coming on such short notice.
I will not board you, Overseer.
Why are you attacking us?
Is it not obvious?
No. Not really.
There have been several incidents that have resulted in the deaths of several merfolk at the hands of various order ships.
Yeah, we're not with them anymore.
I thought this had been established with you previously.
Did you say several order ships?
Yes.
Well, this is very useful intelligence that we would have much appreciated learning sooner without all the violence involved.
We understand that there was a split with your factions, but when we were approached by members purporting to be part of your new order, we acted on good faith. Ambassador has been lost.
Oh no.
Where was this?
Near the Telentari Bays, of course.
Oh. Yeah, no, that was Kufet. We're on our way to kill him now. If you want to help, we'd appreciate that. I mean, if you want to come kill him out of a sense of satisfaction or vengeance, we'd be most, happy to sink him for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, eat him, whatever. Like, skin him alive, use him for a flute. I don't care.
Hadrisai.
What?
Flute?
You would.
He very recently tried to kill us as well.
Yes.
At the moment, everyone is trying to kill us. It's what happens when you stir up the, I don't know, what is the appropriate aquatic equivalent of a hornet's nest?
Kettle of fish.
Disturb the eggs of an octopus, you would certainly know all about it. 8 times, as a matter of fact. Now, we must act together if that is to be our operation. We
Yes.
do not anticipate the war with the elves lasting much longer. They are nearly defeated, and soon we will be looking to turn our attentions to other interlopers. The removal of the few vessels that have been causing a thorn in our side would be of an advantage. One final question remains. Do you still possess the artifact that we gave you as a symbol of our...
Yes, it's in my quarters.
Attach it to the prow of your vessel, or else you will be sunk.
Okay, thank you. One more thing. This whole warring against the elves thing.
Is nearly
I know, and you're very good at it. But I know this might be a lot to take in. But you know how we're been working against the whole Return of the Dragons thing? That's like our thing. And it turns out the dragons are here and kind of always were and have been working to pit the nations against each other to weaken them before a coming invasion. And it seems that there's been a kind of a lot of pitting of your people. And I know that might be a lot to take in and you don't have much reason to believe me on this, but it just needs to be said at this point.
We are quite aware for one point that I don't like to say the order, but the old order, those who still serve the dragons, have been manipulating the Brenyai into declaring war upon you as well.
We do not fear the return of the dragons. We have a suitable defense against them. It is of little concern to us what you surfaces do to one another. The elves violated an ancient treaty. It is not for us to look kindly upon them.
No, I understand that, but the elves were most likely pushed into doing that. And I mean, as proud of people as you are, I would have thought that you would be quite against having your own motivations and your own actions controlled like this.
Our actions have not been controlled or manipulated in any way. Our responses to the elvish invasion have been our own. What motivates the Elvish Empire is an insane emperor who has been in power for too long in the thin vassal line.
Do you know that for sure? That your actions haven't been exaggerated or pushed, or that diplomacy hasn't been sabotaged?
Perhaps if we were not succeeding in the annihilation of the Elvish people, we would be more amiable to exploring what-ifs and manipulations, but we are going to...
invading their lands as well?
Yes. We have recently returned to the old ways, and shortly will be reclaiming the territories of the elves.
Reclaiming? How?
An artifact has awoken. It speaks to our leaders and has given them the capacity to sink the empire of an insane vassal under the waves.
What kind of artifact is this? It wouldn't happen to be book-shaped, would it?
Ancient tome, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
It was recovered from a wreck many centuries ago. and proved to be of little value.
Yeah,
You said you were not being manipulated.
yeah. We know about these books. They're incredibly dangerous and
Indeed.
powerful.
Matter of fact, we have two.
I mean, this was it was found near Chungda, right?
As a matter of fact, yes.
Yes, the Talban Shir.
Correct.
Yes. We know about the Tal books. They are those whispers that you mentioned, that they're powerful and influential.
And manipulative.
Look, I understand the temptation to use one of those books. I really do. And I'm not saying that you know, I'm not sure what I'm saying. It's just really upsetting.
You need not concern yourselves. Most of the elvish population at this stage is already starting to suffer from lack of resources and food. We are effectively putting them out of their misery.
I'm just saying,
And then what?
Since you are winning this much, wouldn't it be possible to at least... I mean, you're crushing them.
Yes, broker.
They're not a threat to you. At this point, isn't it possible that you could wait?
And then what? Yeah.
The Emperor has
The elves.
our delegations for peace. It is not in my hands anyway. The king of our glorious empire has decided. After the destruction of the Ten Vasul, no surface kingdom will dare ever stand against the Merfolk kingdoms. We will be left in peace as we have sought for centuries.
You'll be left alone
Correct.
in a lifeless world of your making.
We do not intend to destroy other nations, and we
You're
grant them access to our...
set out a plan to do exactly that.
The elves have refused to surrender.
Once you remove your enemy's capacity to conduct war against them, what point is any further attack against them?
Elves live for centuries and will hold grudges against our people and will seek ways to return.
So you're going to sink their entire land beneath the waves?
Yes. It does not violate the Treaty of the Orders, if that is what you are worried about.
No, I'm just...
You know, other elvish nations are not going to be happy about this, right?
The Jetty are unlikely to act on behalf of the Empire.
The Brenyai, are you
Yeah,
going to
I
sink
agree
the
there's
Brenyai beneath the waves as well? And then the
I
next
was not
nation that offends you,
under the
will you
impression.
sink them beneath the waves? Where will it end? Once you do it once, you will do it again, and again, and again, until you are on a dead planet surrounded by the ghosts and the corpses of your enemies, happy in your little pond.
You do paint a
You're
rather
playing-
appealing picture.
Yes, you're playing with a powerful artifact beyond your capacity to properly deal with.
I was not aware I had been summoned to be chastised like a child, and to have our policies so brazenly questioned.
I'm sorry, that's not
Our
their intention.
artificers are working on this particular artifact.
We're just trying to warn you. Look, the dragons are not going to be happy either about the whole sinking of a whole continent that they consider to be theirs. And if they win in this, they have books of their own, probably more than you do. And they're going to have powers as well that you won't be able to protect against.
We have offered you our aid in defeating the beasts that you speak of. We will do that and no more. The politics of our empire are our own, and although we will listen to counsel, we will decide upon the final outcomes. You would be better preaching to the elves to show humility in the face of defeat, rather than attempting to control the will of the waves.
Have you discussed with Sanctuary your intentions to catastrophically disrupt the planetary ecosystem?
We appreciate the Druids, of course, and their kind that represent below the waves have been consulted and convinced our solution is not to the detriment overall of the planet.
We are not getting anywhere here.
No, let's just agree that you're going to help us against the dragons and Section 13. I think that's possibly the best we're going to get out of this. And, you know, we will pass on our warnings that messing around with that tome is inadvisable at best.
Yes.
It'll consume you,
Well, we do.
as it
thank
has
you,
many
of
others
course.
before.
Yes, we do.
And
thank
kill
you.
your peoples who are investigating it, because we've seen that happen. And it's almost happened on board.
Then let us agree that we all hope that our apparently incompetent artificers do not succumb to the dangers that these artifacts possess.
We
It's
didn't
not
say they're
about
incompetent.
It's not about that. It's about
It's just the nature of the tome. It likes
You
consuming
mistake
people.
me, sir. No one on this world is competent.
Jorek leaves. He's just like, I'm done.
well, we appreciate your promise to leave our ship alone in the future, at least. We do.
And your help against the Section 13, because
Yes.
we will definitely need your help.
We truly do
Definitely.
appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry if our slightly frantic wording of things is insulting. It's not my intention.
We're just trying to save people.
Says the person who destroyed Valenhold.
He
Oh God.
kind of gives you a nod and then sinks down back below the waves.
Right. I'm gonna go put one of the tomes in the lead room.
I read in a book somewhere that there are, this multiverse of different worlds out there. Can we just go find another one?
Let's
This
leave
one's
this one.
Probably. We probably could.
Well, the anchors keep you here, right? So
I've had enough.
no leaving.
We must
both
destroy
make
the
our
anchors
own.
first.
Look, you really shouldn't read books like that. It's not good for you. Just sort of walk off to my quarters.
Says you.
Andrews, I had a bit of an experience last night.
Did she know?
What happened to Adressai? They seem a little I mean, they were really into the books before. What happened to them?
I'll have to ask them, but let's just say I found them dead.
Dead?
Yeah, on the book. Took some time to revive them, and they've went on a journey, which is confusing.
In the
So-
book, went in a. I mean,
So, Guy, in the meantime, I would be above deck and I would be fishing.
Fishing shore.
I've left a stack of papers that I
You're
wrote.
kind of
in
sitting
my
there whilst the ambassador's talking with like a hook and a worm, just sort of watching them.
I'm going to take a skiff and speak to some druids.
Are you taking anyone with you?
You want company, Con?
Well, it shouldn't take long. I'm merely arranging, hopefully, convenient transfer.
Yeah, we know how that goes. I'm going with you.
Well, you can go with them to the tree, or to the druid anyway. That you're going to have to try and find.
Then I'm gonna have
But
to sit there
it
and wait.
does not take you long to find a druid on the coastline. It's a plains druid, simply because of where you happen to be. And they nod as they see you, Con. And there is a low scrub. It's going to be a bit tight, I'm afraid, but you'll get there. You know how it is out here in the plains. We've got to do with what we've got to do.
Absolutely, I'm sure it will be perfectly sufficient. We just need to send 2 people.
Sorry, what?
Bring them back again.
Right. Well, I mean, yes, you're both here. I can send you now, and then you
No, not us. Some of my associates, I require them to transfer. Where to?
Rhythmware
Written
and back again.
and back again. So we'll need to talk to whoever's on that side so they understand the arrangements as well.
I'm afraid you'd have to get permission for that. I mean, we can't send. Not are these druids?
No.
He looks from you to Jorek, then back to you, and he sort of whispers a little bit too loudly, "You know, this is only for druids."
Yes.
We
For
have
the
tried.
use of druids, and this is the use to which I need to put it.
I don't think that's how it works, actually. I think for the use of druids, as in for the druids to actually use, not to freight people around, really.
Yeah.
And the sap is quite busy at the moment, so if you're not sort of too
If you
sure.
wouldn't mind, I need to speak to the Oaken.
All right, yes, absolutely. And, you know, get a stamp of approval, and of course anything is okay then. But, yes, all right, well, and he sort of opens up a portal. Good luck. It's a bit busy at the moment in HQ, but...
Good. I imagine they're invading Drakenmoore as we speak.
If something like that, you could say.
By the way, Con, you really should learn how to do that thing. That sap thing.
Well, you've got to have a grove.
Yeah.
And he whispers a little bit too loudly to you, Jorek, he's ungroved. Yeah.
Oh no.
Don't we have
Oh,
a grove on board our ship?
Yeah, we're growing one.
We will soon.
That's one tree. You need multiple trees.
I mean,
I
there's
turned to
lichen
look
it.
at him.
A lichen grove.
Lichens,
Some
yeah.
of us.
Tiny.
I mean, have you heard of fairy circles, right?
Some of us keep our groves in here.
Oh, yes.
Have you an infection? Is that what you're telling us?
Then I go through the tree.
He closes it. He turns to you, Jorek. They always say that when they don't have a grove. Oh, it's all in here. It takes a lot more dedication than it looks to tend to grow, let me tell you.
Says standing
Trust
in
me,
the
I've noticed. I have met a lot of you druids over the last year.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Who?
So, Adrasai, I'm ready to leave.
Interesting people.
Yes, we need to secure transport back first.
No, I thought you were coming with me. That's the last thing I thought.
Yes, but we need to secure transport back first.
So you cannot transport us back?
No, because there's not a teleportation circle here. But, you know, Con's working on it.
Details.
Hopefully it'll just be like an hour or something. And I mean, honestly, getting to across to another continent in an hour, it's good time.
Do you have your bauble thing?
The bauble thing?
Yeah. We could just commandeer a boat and...
Well, that'll take weeks. Days at least. It's much faster to just, wait for Con to come back.
Right.
All right.
I'm going to hand over the Merfolk medallion thing to someone to go affix to the prow. And then I'm going to go put the book in the lead room. I'm going to scratch it a bit on the spine as I go. I'm sorry about this.
You're scratching on the spine.
Yeah, I promised them I would give them a scratch on the spine when I got back out. I promised the beasts.
Con, you arrive at Sanctuary, and it's full of lycanthropes. Just large, hulking bear folk, wolfkin. There's a little. It looks like a moving carpet of ferrets that sort of rush past as a sort of a gang, and they see you, and immediately you're shown through to the Oaken. There is the man of the hour, Con O'Dana. As you can see, we are mobilizing far faster than we had previously planned, but it is invigorating.
I never doubted that once the resolve to act was taken, that thus would be the result.
Indeed. There are a few steps still that need to be taken care of, but we have dispatched agents and await their reports. Now, what brings you here? We had not anticipated seeing you so soon.
I need to arrange for a greater mobility for agents acting on my behalf. I can't always be traveling with everyone who goes with me through the ways of the trees.
We will assign druids to you. They will act as your Sherpas.
Okay, if that is the most practical way.
Not suggesting that we allow non-druids access into the sap.
Surely if we're sending them from one point to another, this is a simple thing.
We have to trust those that are journeying with us. We can't just necessarily open up the gates to everyone who wants to step through. It has never been that non-druids have made use of the sap. It should not be changed now at all times. We risk introduction of an enemy that we are not aware of. But no, a druid must travel at all times with whomever enters into the sap.
And you're going to have to assign a significant number of druids to us on a permanent basis.
How many are you thinking?
All.
It would be far simpler if you could just instruct the grove keepers to allow people on my say-so.
You ask a great thing, Con O'Dana. You don't even hold the rank of Willowkin.
I think we both understand that the work is important.
On my better judgment, and because I don't necessarily have a lot of men to spare at the moment, but that will only facilitate their travel from your point. You understand that?
How so?
You have to be present at the gate in order to allow people through.
Can the grove keepers not do this?
They have to have... Command has to come from you, if that is the case. I can't have people walking up to Druid saying, "Oh, I've been given permission from Con to go through the sap. Take me to here." It's impossible. It would be anarchy.
You mean that one druid cannot remember those who have come through when they come back to return the way they've gone before?
It isn't a case of remembering who and who has not come through the sap. It is a case of vouching for those individuals.
Now, okay, my example is I am sending people from point A to point B. At point B, they will go do something, then they will return to point B in order to return to point A. At point B, they should still be recognized by the person who allowed them through at the time. Not so.
Well, it depends on how much time passes in between them making use of all of the sap. They do not speak Druidic. That is the ultimate form of communication that our people use.
I can speak Druidic.
Sure, but the Oaken's not going to say that. I can assign you 3 young initiates. Would that suit your needs?
If that is the only way we can do this, it's going to have to do. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I think the Oaken seems to feel our grove keepers have less capacity than they do.
It isn't about the grove keeper's capacity, Carnodano. We are launching an invasion against Drakenmoore. The vampires have the capacity to take control of the minds of individuals very easily. If the vampires were to learn of our ability to travel through the sap, they could have their individual armies cut down every single growth in their entire territory, and they would not hesitate to do that. We cannot risk anyone who is not intimately associated with us learning of that information.
I'd be very surprised if they didn't know something of it, to be honest. But you have your invasion to take care of. We have dragons to deal with.
There was one other thing, Commodore. There is a delicate matter that you may be able to assist with.
Of course.
We have learned that the Merking plans on using an artifact of significant power, which we believe belongs to the dragons, in order to defeat the Elvish Empire.
Yes, I know. I spoke to their ambassador this afternoon.
You are a busy man, Connor Danner.
That's what he's trying to tell you.
I really need to, yes, make my life as efficient as possible, you understand.
We are going to be given an opportunity to examine this book that they have.
At the risk of causing greater global fractions, if you can persuade them against using it, that would be useful. If you could relieve them of its possession, even more useful.
You believe that this book is of such importance?
It
We
should be
risk going to
isolated.
war with the Merking over it. He is not in a good mood.
I don't care.
Have you become compromised, Connor Danner?
Compromised in what way?
When you first arrived here, you were full with fire and conviction that you
I
were on
still
the
am.
right path. Now you say you no longer care.
I no longer care that the Merking is angry over the political climate, which is largely fabricated in order to create the conflict that is currently underway. The Merfolk has been misguided at best, is a fool at worst. If I have to discount the authority of national leaders in order to achieve what we need to achieve, then so be it. Now, this book is not a tool for states to wield against their enemies. It is recklessly irresponsible that they should even consider it.
Wow.
You tell a state's leader.
Indeed. That was well put.
No, kings are proud individuals. So are ambassadors.
The Merfolk was only marginally less arrogant than the Elvish Emperor himself.
If the people who would rule the nations of the world will act like children, then we must treat them like children.
Well said, Connor Danner. That's the fire I was looking for.
Yeah, just as you would snatch a baby away from the fire, so must the Merfolk be prevented from using this book.
We shall see.
Or any nation, or even us. Don't get me wrong, Oatkin. We should not use these books. No one should use them. They will undo everything, and that is hardly an outcome we would want.
I have an invasion to plan.
I wish I could be there to see the barons and the other lords and ladies of Drakenmoore when you take them down. I really do.
Please take photos.
He's right.
Send a postcard.
Lots
Send
of
a
woodcuts.
Ulkov burning.
Postcard.
Roy was here. Yeah.
You are returned to the plain where Jorek is listening to this young druid. 3 other druids step out behind you. They are maybe 16, 17 years of age. The one is quite a pretty young female dwarf. She's got this crown of little yellow petaled flowers in her hair and about 15 to 20 beaded stone necklaces, and wears a tie-dye sort of dress thing.
Not red robes, then.
We should introduce her to Mios.
Then there is a young youth who looks similar to Mios, except he doesn't look like he's really here. He looks as if he's on another planet. There's just a sort of a zoned expression on his face. And then there is an incredibly nervous-looking elf. Probably, you're guessing, from the Empire of Athane Vasul. He seems to be nervous about the plains. They all look at you.
The plains we stand in.
Yes.
Well, great. Thank you for your assistance. I think it's only fair that I warn you up front that you could die horribly in our service.
The one that doesn't look
Reassuring
like they're
words there.
particularly spaced just kind of goes, cool.
That's why you became a druid.
The wacky backy there.
For the lichen.
You're number 1. Number 2 and 3, if you'll come with me, we'll get introductions over later. Basically, not to take up too much time, but just want to go back to the ship, leave one of the druids behind with instructions.
Right.
To take Adressai and Atramentum to Rithimweir and back. And then go and tell Adressai and Atramentum that their
Right.
bride awaits them.
Yes.
So we have a babysitter, eh?
Yeah.
It's the best I can do, unfortunately. And Atramentum, my trust in Adressai is concrete, and I feel that I need to tell you that I have taken on a considerable amount of trust from the highest orders of druidic power to allow anyone to use the sap on my authority.
What's your point?
My point is that I do hope that nothing happens that is of such great importance that you feel the need to make use of the sap for anything else.
I hope to.
Good luck. I hope you find what you're looking for. There's a very interesting character waiting for you at the tree.
I'm sure we will.
Cool.
Jorek's
I
gonna
want-
go to Hurricane. I need a glass of wine.
Dude, where's my car?
Why do druids always talk so much? Why?
Hurricane,
Well,
I know what you mean, but there is someone who talks more than the druids. Did you know that on this ship? There is, a matter of fact, an entire contingent of them. Have you been into the lower holds?
You talking about Aldwin?
No.
Well, Whiskers, it's time to go, isn't it?
Yes, it is. I think Andrew's eyes sort of gotten some sort of scarves and sort of wrapped their tail neatly and fancy and gotten a pair of gloves.
Right. So
Jorek's
what are you
gonna sit.
doing? Well,
Yeah, Jorek's gonna sit.
I was actually just about to head to her, but
to Saket?
Mhm.
Sure. You can get to Saket before me.
Ah!
For the GM.
Transcending.
So, Kat,
Mm-hmm.
I propose a trade.
A trade.
Yes.
A trade. Okay.
Yes.
Which is?
I got my hands on a pair of robes that could interest you.
Okay.
They
What
command
do
a certain aristocracy and command as they were of your order's leaders.
Interesting. And what is the price of said robes?
I would like a second amulet.
A second amulet.
Indeed. I think the amulet in your possession would be much more useful to me where I'm heading, and I think the robes would be much more useful for what you're planning to do.
Oh, that amulet. The silver one.
Yes.
I was going to haggle, but I don't think there's much point in haggling. I'm sorry, it's a genetic thing. We have to haggle. Okay. Yeah. All right. So the robes. Do they have any magical properties in the robes? I'm just curious.
Well, they were from your leader, so I suppose yes. And you will be delighted to find out what they do. I will actually write you what they do. I don't want to, this is mechanical speak that doesn't really pass as.
Doesn't work well in roleplay.
Okay.
For 3 turns, you will.
Okay.
Exactly 18 seconds.
Give me a minute. I'm gonna go find the amulet because I probably put it down somewhere safe. Just 1 minute. I'll be back in a second, and then you can have it. And you can give me these robes.
Very well. I will get them.
All right. So you exchange the amulet, and that's the amulet of
Alter Self.
Alter Self.
Alter Self.
Got you. All right, with the robes. All right, perfect. And you can share that information as you so will. Jorek, you finish up with Hurricane. He's talking about the barbarians. The barbarians.
Oh,
You
right.
don't want to go anywhere near the barbarians. They are uniquely chatty.
I'm actually gonna ask Hurricane for a bottle of wine and another glass.
Oh, he has several.
Then I'm gonna head down to Miran and just have a chat while the shopping trip goes
Right.
to weird. I'll take a relax.
Sure, you're gonna hang with your sister. There's lots to catch up on and talk about. All kinds of weird and
And
wonderful.
apologize for.
Right. The two of you step. You take the skiff to the plains. You take a little jaunt across the plains to this only tree that you can see. There is a druid who is fast asleep under the tree. You think he's a druid anyway. He's the only one in the middle of the plain lying underneath a tree. And he sort of rouses and looks at you with very red eyes. And he sort of does a hand gesture. And this particularly noisy, is it a warthog of some kind, comes trotting up and as it does so, it churns into this human. Right, I know, got it, yeah. Those are big horns. Huh. Well, good luck, have fun, I suppose. Yes, come on, Benjel, you've got to go with them. And he opens up the sap. It's Wraithrendir is where you're going, yes?
Yes.
Right. Yeah. Oh, it's a long trip. Good luck. Yes.
Thank you.
Right. Benjel, straight there. Don't deviate. Go straight. You know. You've done it before, haven't you? He looks. Done what? The sap thing. And he pushes him into the sap.
Ow!
Tree.
Say loud and clearly, diagonally. Take with him.
Delaware.
And the two of you step into the sap as well, I'm assuming. You are instantaneously sucked through this golden energy and arrive on the other side through a rather dense cluster of trees. Banjol is currently throwing up to the tree. There is a very stern-looking elf. The elf looks as if he has had 6 types of Tuesday beaten out of him. Cuts across his forehead, his robes are torn, his nails are all ripped out from his fingers. He looks incredibly injured, and he's leaning heavily on the staff. And when the two of you step out, I was not expecting non-druids.
So we have one to accompany us.
He kind of gives a thumbs up from his bush.
Are you all right? What happened to you?
The Empire of Athane Vasul is under attack. Whatever you are to do here, you need to do quickly. The city of Wraithrendir is being evacuated if you are here.
Oh no. Oh dear. All right. Are you okay? Are you going to be okay? I don't want to, come back here and find you dead under a tree or something.
I will be fine. I need rest.
All right. As long as you're sure. All right. Good.
And Junior? You want to come with us or you want to stay here, Junior?
No, I'm fine. I think if you could just get a bun or some bread, I'd be grateful. Yeah.
All right.
I'm good though. I'm good.
All right, Whiskers.
All right. I'm going to cast Alter Self on myself and turn back into Billy the Human.
Billy the Human.
Well known.
Hopefully he hasn't been identified as one of the strange cultists who burnt down Valenhold. Yes, so you turn into Billy and...
I doubt it.
Yeah, because they wouldn't write down a description, would they? So you turn into Billy and you start heading down towards Wraithrendir. You can see why it's being evacuated. That entire shorefront where you had originally arrived is no more. It's just rubble. And there are large tentacles emerging from the water that are busy dragging bits of architecture down into the ocean. Elves are no longer even attacking this thing. You can see that the army is now basically outside of the city, forming neat lines, getting ready to withdraw deeper into the countryside. Merchants are busy loading up wagons and the like. Unseen servants are everywhere, busy loading up stuff. The elvish slaves are all around as well, as the city is basically on full evacuation. It's easy enough. Are you going to make us way straight to the library?
Pebbles and library.
Pebbles and library, yes. You're riding on style. You get to the library without any difficulty whatsoever. You've got to move around and between people, of course, but it's not difficult. You don't look like merfolks, and none of the soldiers stop you at all.
Good for them.
Heading into the library, you are greeted by the sounds of an empty library. There's just that whole echoing sound of all the books have been cleared, and what few books remain are busy being stacked as the acolytes are busy collecting and gathering them together. Tollenden happens to run past, doesn't give either of you a second glance except to say, the library is closed.
Colin, hi. Hi, it's me. We met once. We got really, really drunk, and we threw up in an alley together. I just look a little different.
I'm afraid you must be mistaken. I do not fraternize with humans necessarily.
I'm saying I look a little different right now.
Yes. Great. The library's closed.
Tolendin, it's me, Adressai. I need your help. God, does everybody completely forget that magic exists?
Why are you like that? And what? And he then looks at Atra. What? We're evacuating.
I know. I wasn't aware of that when I got here. Or when I came here because I really need a spell for a thing because of the whole saving the world thing.
Now?
I'm sorry, I didn't know you were evacuating.
Well, most of the books have already been taken as far as Daithwin.
Oh no. All right.
Well, there might still be some, I suppose, in the cellars. We haven't evacuated those. We've just consigned them to being lost. It is what it is. It's war.
Oh no. I'm so sorry.
We're about to fall to the Merfolk.
I know. We tried to talk to them. We really did.
And nonetheless, you want a particular type of spell. Fine. I will see what is there. Come with me, he says.
Thank you. I've missed you so much.
He looks at you.
You know, I think
really, that's what you chose to turn yourself into? Really? You could have chosen.
It was a thing. It was a spur of the moment, and was the only thing I had in mind.
That's what you had in mind. I don't. It doesn't matter.
I don't know. Someone walked past. I was just. It just didn't matter at the time.
He takes you into this very musty sort of repository of books. Most of them have damaged their spines. They're kept down here for a reason. No one references them. No one looks to them. And you tell him the spell that you are after. Right. This will take a moment or two. It shouldn't take too long. There is a trembling as the whole building shakes, and little bits of dust sort of tumble down. Oh, it's been doing that all day. We think they've got into the caves underneath the structure. It's interesting, but nonetheless, we're right. All right, so that's what's happening there. What are you guys doing on the ship? Anything particular?
Having wine.
I might get. Well, yeah, that sounds like a really good idea.
Getting drunk with friends. I like it.
Chatting to the barbarian leader.
Yeah.
Yeah.
About anything in particular? Just broad strokes.
Broad strokes. You know, at the moment, our relationship is strictly sort of mercenary company, employer type of arrangement, but. You know, you may or may not have picked up that our endeavor is to save the world from annihilation or dragons or whatnot, and we'd really like to maybe rearrange that relationship from mercenary employer to paid member of the team.
In that case, I'm definitely introducing Neos to the dwarf druid. With alcohol to facilitate things.
Right.
Everyone on this crew draws a salary.
Actually, I need initiative from everyone. Give me initiative. You can all give me initiative. You're all doing different things anyway. Well, except for Atra and Adressai, but I'll take the better of the two of you.
That looks like a 9. It is a 9.
23.
Whatever Atra rolled, it's better.
Well, that went well. I got a whole 8. I'm going last.
Sorry, Con, what did you get?
9.
And Atra?
24.
You are quite correct. Okay, so Atra, you and Adressai are standing there as this librarian rushes around looking at various books and things, and eventually he pulls out a tome. It looks to be quite in quite bad condition. This is the last that I can think of that we've got on divination. You have to take what you can get, I'm afraid.
Sort of quickly leaf through it.
Mr. Librarian.
Yes?
Where is your secondary library? Where you're evacuating towards?
The books are currently all being taken to Dathwin. It is in the south, although it is on the coast, admittedly. We have very few cities that are not coastal based, so it's a bit of a problem.
Do you have a teleportation circle there?
Oh, yes. The Empire has teleportation circular everywhere.
All right.
But I think you'll be hard-pressed to find option to get on it now. Everyone is using it, as long as they possibly can.
I think
Myself.
the other
Book
method would be easier to get there.
make it sooner. Are you able to leave the Empire under normal circumstances without
Yes.
use of a ship?
Yes, we should be fine. The same way we got
Take
here.
us, take me with you, please.
In which case, then I need you to stay here just for a moment. I will be back.
Wait 1 second. I have to ask you one thing. Wait, what happened with the book?
I'll be back.
Okay.
Jorek, you are with your sister, just getting to know you, getting to sort of understand what's sort of been going on and getting there. There is a sense that she looks at you and she says, your new name, I can't get used to it really, but did you ever wonder why the vampires took a liking to us when we were on the streets?
Yes. I mean, we did have that old hog. You remember our mentor?
Yes, I do.
So they already did have an interest in us, but
Did you ever wonder why?
I didn't think about it at the time. I thought it was because mom and dad were nobles. Why? You have
Do
figured something out.
vampires care about the nobles?
Well, they are their puppets after all. Without the nobles to keep the people in check, they have to be more violent than they are. But I don't know. I mean, it's not like mom and dad were any special. I don't know.
You see, that is interesting. I learned a few things while I was with the Count.
Hmm? I remember Davok saying something that we were special, but he never told me how.
Oh,
In what way?
our parents, they kept something from us. And now I have a question to ask you, and I understand if it is difficult for you to answer. But whilst we were with the vampire, did he ever feed on you?
Davok? The
Yeah.
mentor? Not that I can remember, no.
Then you are a lucky one.
But he fed on
Wait a second. You want to hire us on a permanent basis? I'm sorry. In the blood in my ears, I can't hear you.
Wouldn't you like to help us save the world?
Yeah, sure. That would be brilliant. That would be great. But I'm wondering if there's dental.
Sure, why not?
Yeah.
He's a doctor.
Yeah.
You have on-board dental.
This is good. Permanent. Now, what would be the benefits of members once they've reached an age where they can no longer barbarian?
Gosh, you do think of everything. I knew I found the right person to lead the Marines.
Well, I have to take into consideration my people, and these are things that leaders should take into account. That's why I'm in charge, yes. So it is important for me to see where we're going with this. Permanent employment is absolutely something that we were hoping to find. the life of a mercenary barbarian is not always glamour, as you might think it to be. There are many times where there are no employees, and then where does the funding come from? Yeah, that's a good question. That is a very good question. So, permanent employees for all staff members, is that correct?
Of course.
And in terms of rights to the vessel, would we fall within the ranking system of the vessel itself? Who would be our reporting line to our manager? And would there be an expected performance, beheading a certain number of enemies per week, per month? What are the parameters before we agree to this? Yes, so many questions that need to be answered, but I'm very excited on behalf of me and my people, or should we perhaps say your people now? Yes, I think so. I'm very pleased to say that we have already started to see some dramatic cultural inter-exchange between our two groups, which undoubtedly will bring us closer together. There was a poetry evening, and it was moving.
Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
Yes. To try and answer your questions, yes to ranks, official integration into the ranking systems. I'm not a fan of quotas. I prefer outcomes as a measure of success.
That's a progressive attitude. I quite like it.
There most certainly should be oversight, and I feel I don't need to really tell you. I feel that, but since you've asked for clarity, I'm sure that gratuitous violence in unnecessary circumstances is not something we seek from our combatants.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. We have seen that demonstrated multiple times, and there was a particularly moving piece that spoke about the violence of our words as a primary means of slaying our enemies and leaving an indelible mark upon them, much more so than just a scar. So we're behind that, absolutely. There is one final request I would have in terms of these negotiations, is that there has been a request by a member of your crew to officially join our ranks, as he has adopted, I would say, embraced, perhaps even, yes, our culture and way of life. And I would consider it a personal favor if you were to allow him to join us officially in terms of reallocation from his current duties. I'm thinking, of course, of Mios.
Since we are, you are now captain of the Marine Corps, if you would submit an official transfer request to the captain of the ship, I will most certainly mention to her that I feel this would be worthwhile.
Mios the barbarian marine.
Oh, I love it. It's growing up.
Saket, what are you doing whilst this negotiation is going on? You wanted to go and find the new druids that have just walked onto the ship?
Well, in particular, I was going to introduce Mios to the impressionable young dwarf. I feel they're going to have a great friendship together. Especially now he's going to be a barbarian marine. I mean, what else could she possibly want in a man?
Yeah, you learn their names.
How about a man?
You learn their names. Her name is Endather. It's been shortened from what it used to be, owing on account that she feels that it's more important to fit in than to have traditional roots. She's very down to earth, and
As a druid, I get you.
As a druid, yeah. Currently, she's standing in front of a cupboard in the second level. We don't necessarily believe that we want to interrupt our friends who are in a recovery state at the moment. she says, sort of looking at the cupboard. But I'll tell Qualanti that you stopped by to see him.
Qualanti is the elf.
We don't need to talk about that right now. He's a bit nervous. He's not a fan of open spaces, so when he went
In
from
the cupboard.
the Grove to the Plains, he was upset a bit. It takes
He's
him
an
a wee
aggro
while to calm down, but once he's down, he's fine.
Still, there's this lovely chap I really would like to introduce you to who can show you around the ship, let you get to know the crew.
That'd be
And
brilliant.
yes, I think you'd be great friends. You're of a similar age, so
We are?
yes, and
He's male?
he's male, yes, human, but I believe these things are a little consequence to dwarves and or druids for that matter. And
It might sound like a bit of a personal question, but does he have a lady in his life?
no, he does not. And
You think he'd want one?
probably he's of that age, so yeah, hormones and all that. So
Wait, how old do you think I am?
I would never ever ask a lady how old she was.
Well, that's all right. I'm not a lady. I'm a dwarf. There's a difference. We don't wear all the airs and graces and all that kind of nonsense. No, give me a good fresh pack of mud and a bit of tie-dye and I'm your lass. Well,
Yes,
let's go meet this young lad because
Yeah.
he sounds like he could be quite a ripper.
Yeah, I think considering his
It will
recent
be.
interests, that would be a very accurate description of Mios.
As you start walking off, she looks up. Do you know if there's any wine on board this ship?
Oh, there's plenty. I'm going to give you some in a minute.
Oh, excellent, she says, sort of rubbing her hands together. Adrasine,
It's a lovely beard you've got.
Trementum, the two of you are in this dark space. The elf comes rushing in. He's holding another book. It looks to be in very bad repair, tattered covers and the like. And he hands it over to you.
Okay.
This is for your care alone, because you can get off of the island. Well, off of the mainland, I should say. And you know what to do with it.
Oh, is this?
Well, it's a book that you shouldn't sort of let lying around. And I didn't think that it was under the correct care being evacuated to Daithwin, because they're all just being piled and taken. So it's of chaos. It'll take 150 years just to sort out the books first. And he looks like he could handle himself in a fight, he says, looking at you, Atra.
Oh yes. I'm not sure it's a great idea for me to take this onto the ship right now, because
the whole building creaks as there's a loud cracking sound. Someone shouts, "We're leaving now!" We have to go.
Okay. Do you want to come with us, or are you staying here?
As tempting as it might be, considering you're a lot of fun, I must go with the books. They need me now more than I need you. No, wait, that didn't come out right. Well,
look, let's pick that up when this is all over, okay? Just contact me if you need anything.
Yes, good. Unless you're going to do anything else in Wraithwen Weir, you can get back to the tree line before the city collapses.
I want to give him a hug.
Oh, sure. He will give you a hug back. Atra, are you going to do anything specifically?
I'm not going to give him a hug.
He's quite grateful for that, actually, because there was that awkward moment where after hugging Billy, he then sort of looked at you, Atra, and then sort of was relieved. All right, you get back to the tree. Looking around, you can see that those tentacles are now started to reach up to the actual outer wall of the city. If you remember, it was just a big outer wall with 8 towers. Those tentacles are now starting to pull the towers down that cliff into the bay.
That is.
It's just slowly working its way through and over the city. It reveals most of its body now out of the water as well. It looks to be a particularly large octopus type thing, but more spines and bony bits than one would sort of really like to see.
So they move their stuff to Kemenweir. That's what you said?
No, Daithwin.
Daithwin.
Yeah.
It's on the southern.
Yeah, just south.
Yeah, on the Innocent Sea.
Ah, next to the anchor, I see. Okay.
Yeah. They're hoping. And with that, the two of you step back into the tree. The human male kind of forgot to, and then he falls in with you as you sail back to the plains. And on that note, we will return next week when the adventures of the Windswift continues. All right, we're going to our review very quickly. We went a little bit over on time there. Lots of plotting, I suppose. Hopefully we'll get a move on in terms of...
We can't do anything without
direction. We can't do anything without...
a session talking about it first.
True.
Absolutely. Yeah, not a lot of dice roll either, I don't think. There was no real call for
Initiative.
There was initiative, yes, to just determine who got to speak first.
Like a knowledge roll or two.
Yeah, Atra, any thoughts on this particular session other than it was organizational?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think there's much to talk. I mean, obviously he's pushing for his own agenda, but and that's about it. I think that was quite clear why he did it, how he did it.
Yep. Yeah.
I mean, the only thing that isn't, I guess, worth mentioning is that the trade with Siket, and I mean, I'm just not going to give any of the crew members anything because the last time I gave anything was to Khan, and he then just berated me afterwards that I am such an egoist. So that seems like a stupid idea to do anymore.
Yeah, makes sense. Jorek?
A bit of a slow episode for Jorek, but you dropped a bomb there at the end for him. It's like, what? So we'll see where that goes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, it's interesting.
Yeah. Siket, any words?
Don't have much more to add. No.
Yeah, it was just a plotting and planning and organizing, really.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Siket also had quite a nice episode of not having to do anything or kill anyone or fire anything off. She's going to go and be a bit of a romantic liaison for...
Oh, boy.
What? You had the metagaming here. Perhaps you shouldn't have done that episode on Great GM about sexual relationship.
Yes.
But anyway, a bit of matchmaking is always fun, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And they're well suited to each other. He needs a grounded sort of female, as grounded as she is, and he needs...
I mean, she's short and she's a druid. How much more grounded can you get?
And she needs some fun. So, it's all good.
Oh, good. Con, you had the most to do here. You were just running around insulting the Merfolk and telling the Oakin where to get off, and it was a good episode politically.
I had a bit of fun with that today. Yeah, and it is a kind of a case of now having to play that game of weighing the relative importance of things. National politics and national considerations and individual considerations and saving the world and dragons. But yeah, like I said, I think we need to create plausible continuity of action, like, just simply going, we shall do this, and off we go, da-da-da-da,
Right.
Doesn't feel very immersive. So even if we do spend a session setting up, it kind of feels a bit rewarding in that the story is not fast travel. So that's about it.
I think, on that note, these sessions are much more plot building than just going somewhere and killing people and then leaving again or whatnot, right? Because these are the sessions that build character. These are the sessions that kind of lay out what's going to happen and how people are going to react to you. And I think that is the meat on the story, just going in and trying to kill a vampire or dragon or beholder or whatever it might be is really just the mechanics of the game, but not the role-playing part of it. So
Exactly.
I agree.
I totally agree. And to that end, on Con's personal list of things, I was particularly pleased with the whole creation of the Marine Corps, which was, I've been wanting to talk to her about for a few sessions now. So
Yeah. She's excited. She's excited.
good
I mean,
fun.
you mentioned saving the world to a barbarian. They go,
Yep.
Yeah.
on
That
it.
sounds like Valhalla stuff to me.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. That's how you get there. Adressai, your thoughts on the episode?
Yeah, I actually thought it was really interesting for quite a few reasons. I mean, first of all, there's the whole thing where Adressai's just been handed another book, and if there was trouble to bring two of them together, it's just the sheer amount of shit that might come from bringing three of them onto the same ship is
We're in
just
trouble.
mind-boggling. And they were a little bit of sort of, are you sure I should have this? Like, this is not a good idea. But there was, like, no real option at the time. And, like, we may need to pawn this off on someone.
I mean, that was literally the Dungeon Master. And then the ground shakes.
Yes.
Go now!
It's crumbling. It's crumbling.
Go! But no, I really, as much as it might get weird, and it's a way of sort of shrinking the world a lot of the time when you can just jump back and forth between cities. I thought it was a really, really good point to actually show what's going on and what's actually happening in the world and the consequences of all this war. Because we've been hearing about, oh, this city was completely leveled and this city was destroyed. And like, not just the ones that we blew up, but like we've been hearing about these devastating effects. And I feel that actually seeing it happen and seeing this place that we were at a while ago, literally being like dragged into the sea, I thought that was very impactful. And I thought that was very sort of, it was a sort of reality affirming moment, which I thought was really nice.
Oh, fantastic. And we look forward to seeing you all again next week when hopefully these plans start to get to put into motion. Well, maybe not all of the plans. I think Mios is in for a very wild ride, one way or another.
It depends on how he reacts.
It really does, yes. But until next time, thank you for watching. From all of us, goodbye.